God is mighty and powerful. Just as I left the hospital, I was called back. I called Brother Adrian and told him, it looks like I'm not going to make it because I'm back here. I have a case. I have no clue as to how long it's going to take. At 5:45, the surgeon looked up and said, I'm finished. Today, or tonight, sorry, we're going to speak about rest. How many of us think that we get enough rest? I see very few hands up in the air. How many of us consider ourselves to be workaholics?
You.
Okay, now I see more hands. All right, and I'm in the group of the workaholics as well. Believe it or not, I definitely do not get enough rest. Now, time lost is something that can never be regained. And the story is told that in the 18th and 19th century, factory managers pushed back the hands of the clock as the day progressed, causing their workers to work longer and longer hours without pay. Added to that, when it was lunchtime, they set the clock so that the minute hand moved in 3-minute intervals, which made their lunch hour shorter. So basically these workers lost time, and as I said before, time lost is most definitely something that cannot be regained. Now, the movie In Time, and give me 1 second here because my husband did some editing to my PowerPoint and it's not opening the way I want it to. The movie In Time depicts a group of persons who lived in this society whereby if you were rich, you were actually able to lengthen your lifespan. If you were poor, at the age of 25, you were gone. Now, while this is all well and good, this is actually just pure fiction. In real life, we can't buy time, we can't lengthen our lifespan. The most we can do is do our best to try and live a little longer by exercising and eating healthy, and most importantly, resting. Fatigue. Studies have actually shown that a very large percentage of populations throughout the world suffer from what is considered to be chronic fatigue syndrome. You work, you go home, you sleep for about 4 hours, and you go back to work again. You have these prolonged days. Fatigue has been shown to be one of the top 10 reasons why persons seek medical care or seek medical attention. So they go to the doctor, they think they're sick, and the complaint is, Doc, I always feel tired. I wonder if my blood is low, I wonder if I have the flu. You know, I go to sleep and I wake up and I still feel tired. And at the end of the day, when you look at it and you look at their lifestyle, you realize they're not really sick, they're just literally fatigued. So what can be done to stop this? What is sleep? Anybody, before I continue on to the slide? Anybody has any idea at all what sleep is?
Time for rest.
All right. Now, sleep is actually a dynamic and regulated set of behavioral and physiological states during which many processes which are vital to health and well-being take place. Rest, on the other hand, is defined as a state of calmness, relaxation without emotional stress, and essentially freedom from anxiety. So how many of us think that we actually get rest when we go to sleep? And I see absolutely no hands. That's a problem. Why then is sleep considered to be so important? Number one, sleep is actually essential for maintaining optimal physical health. It's essential for adequate emotional and mental functioning. It maintains proper cognitive functioning. Inadequate sleep, time, and poor quality sleep interfere with the quality of life and can actually be hazardous to health. A study was actually done on young healthy male, a group of young healthy males in the US. And what was done is that for each day, in the space of 2 weeks, they were allowed to sleep for 4 hours only. So they slept for 4 hours per day, 6 days, straight. When they ran the test, they realized that these young men who were apparently healthy, their bodies started behaving the way diabetics' bodies behave. They started metabolizing glucose the same way diabetics metabolize glucose, which is actually very poorly. And what studies show is that lack of sleep and fatigue actually affect your metabolism of carbohydrates along with other compounds in the body. Now, when we don't metabolize carbohydrates properly, what happens? We get fat. And obesity and lack of sleep, or obesity and fatigue, are now being linked to one another. That doesn't mean that all of us that are fat are fatigued, mind you. Some of us eat bad. What happens when you don't get enough sleep? Lack of sleep or insufficient sleep causes distractibility. You can't focus, you can't function properly. Lack of sleep causes poor attention span. And we'll look at this from a child's standpoint. Your child, or you allow your child to stay up late on a school night, they have school the next morning, they go to sleep at 11 o'clock, they wake up at 5 to get ready for school, and they're in the classroom and the teacher is talking and they can't pay attention to what the teacher is saying. They're constantly yawning, they can't focus on the schoolwork, so they tend to get more of the questions wrong. All right, and it is actually becoming more and more of a problem because we now allow our children to go past the 7:30 or 8 o'clock bedtime, and you keep extending it. All right, I have 2 kids, and by 7:30, 8 o'clock the latest, they have to be in bed. On the weekend, if I'm in a good mood, I'll extend it to 9 o'clock, but nothing past that, for the simple reason that children need much more sleep than we do. If you want your child to do well in school, make them go to bed early. The video games are not necessary. Read them a story, say a prayer, good night, you have school tomorrow. Poor organizational skills. How many of you, after working a long day, you get home late, you hurry up, you eat something quickly, you go to bed, you have to wake up early to go back to work the next day. And when you get to work, you find the things that you're accustomed of doing well, you can't get them done well. You know, you're usually a very organized person. When you go to work, you know, okay, today I have 6 meetings, this one is at this time, this one is at that time, and you have all your documentation ready for each of your meetings. On the day when you go to sleep late, you get up tired, you realize you can't even get your papers organized the way that you normally do them. Lack of sleep actually does that. Poor motivation. You're tired, you don't really feel like doing much. You become irritable, and I think most of us have experienced this. You go to bed late, you get up early, or you get woken up out of your sleep, you tend to feel a bit grumpy. You become easily frustrated, and it's not because what you're doing is something that you can't do, it's simply that what you're doing, you're so tired that what you're doing becomes difficult because you can't focus, you can't concentrate. Depression. Chronic fatigue actually leads to depression, and this is something that has scientifically been shown. Anxiety. And of course, defiance, believe it or not. And we're gonna go back to a child. A tired child tends to be a very irritable child, and one who everything you tell them to do, they don't think they need to do it. What is involuntary sleep? Involuntary sleep occurs when your brain becomes so tired that it literally shuts itself off. So then you know your eyes close without you wanting them to close for very, very short periods of time, usually fractions of a second to just a few seconds. And while this is all well and good if you're sitting in a chair, you doze off for a few seconds and then you catch yourself, you jump up. Imagine if you were operating heavy machinery and you doze off. The results could be quite catastrophic.
Are you cooking?
or you're cooking. Wouldn't want to be in that house. Now let's look at sleep and the brain. Your frontal lobe in the brain is actually the part of the brain that's responsible for your cognitive functioning. Now, when you lack sleep or when you become tired, what happens is the frontal lobe doesn't function the way it's supposed to. And you now become unable to make decisions that you would normally make quite easily, for the simple reason that the thought processes that should occur don't occur in the correct sequence. Oh, and my pointer looks like it's refusing to work.
Advance it.
Tisha?
Advance it.
All right, here we go. An altered metabolic state. Once again, when you're fatigued, like I said, your body now becomes unable to process or to break down certain compounds the way it's supposed to. And the case in point is carbohydrates. Added to that, when you're fatigued, your body starts secreting very high, especially if you're stressed and fatigued, your body starts secreting very high levels of a hormone known as cortisol. And cortisol as well has been linked to obesity. So all of these things are pointing to why sleep is just so essential. All right, here we go, we're working again. How much sleep do you think we need? A lot. Who knows approximately how long a newborn baby sleeps for? 12 hours. All right. What about a child who's in school between the ages of 5 and 12? 8 hours. All right. You're wrong in all of them. Your newborn sleeps for approximately 16 to 18 hours a day.
Wow.
Usually 7 sleep periods, and they enter what is known as rapid eye movement sleep as soon as they fall asleep. Remember, babies do 3 or 4 things, right? They eat, they sleep, they poop, they pee. And that's it. And the reason that babies sleep so much is because at that age, most of their growth is occurring. Your sleep actually stimulates the growth hormone. So people like me who are short probably never had enough sleep growing up. Infants at the end of their first year usually sleep between 14 and 15 hours a day. Toddlers 12 to 14 hours. Your preschooler should get at least 11 hours of sleep a night. Now calculate that and see what time your child is supposed to go to bed. Your school-age child between the ages of 5 and 12 specifically need at least 10 hours of sleep. So nothing is wrong if you tell that child at 7 o'clock, go to bed. It's for their own benefit. When they wake up, they're going to be more alert and, like I said, stimulates growth. Continuing, so how much sleep do we as adults need?
6 to 8.
Adolescents, 9 to 10 hours. Your young adult, 7 to 9 hours. Some do require less, and it is a fact that some people do manage quite fine on about 6 hours of sleep. However, anything under that does become a problem. Your older adults, however, 7 to 9 hours sleep, and here's the thing, your elderly suffer from, or it's not really an illness, but sundowner syndrome. Around sunset, they actually start feeling very sleepy. And for those of us who've lived with older folk, we actually see this. You're talking to them and the head starts nodding and they start yawning. It's not so much that they're tired. It's just a natural progression of age. All right? For them, their body's telling them it's bedtime. So what factors do we have that affect sleep? Age is actually one of the most important factors that affect the way a person sleeps and what to consider their rest periods. Illness, anything that causes physical pain or physical distress, can result in sleep problems. And sleep problems can go from insomnia, meaning you have difficulty falling asleep and staying asleep, to things like enuresis, which is bedwetting, which is often seen in children of school age.
Yeah.
Psychological issues, which then you fall asleep, you wake up, you fall asleep, you wake up. All right, and you do have persons, sorry, forgive me if I say patients, you have persons who start sleepwalking, you even have people who start sleep talking. All right, so they actually start, the day has become so loaded with stress that when they fall asleep, they literally fall asleep with what happened during the day on their mind. And then they have a very fitful sleep. Your environment, remember we spoke about environment on Monday, the noise level. Constantly sleeping in areas where you have a very loud music or you always have a television on causes what we call disrupted sleep. So to you, you've fallen asleep and it's not a problem, but unbeknownst to you, you actually have fitful sleep and you wake up the next day tired. And fatigue, of course, more tired during the shorter period of sleep, which is my rapid eye movement sleep. And lifestyle, changing jobs, or people who work shifts. Nurses, for example. Nurses work, for example, from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, and then their next shift is 3 to 10, or then they work from 10 until 7 o'clock the next day. Now, when you work the night shift especially, our bodies are programmed to sleep at night. And I was always told by my mother, night was made for sleeping. So you have to, as a nurse, you're working a night shift, or as somebody who operates certain machinery in a factory, you're working a night shift. You can't fall asleep. So you program yourself to stay up. The next day, the sun is up, and you know you're tired, you have to go to work again the next night, but guess what? You still can't fall asleep. So then, it actually leads to fatigue. Even when you're off, I just heard that from a nurse, and that's quite true. Emotional stress. Alcohol and stimulants such as the recreational drugs, diet, eating heavy meals before you fall asleep actually prevents you from sleeping well. Drinking too much fluids before you fall asleep causes fitful sleep because your bladder gets full. What happens? You wake up, you have to go to the bathroom. You go back to sleep, you wake up, you have to go to the bathroom. Smoking, motivation, and actually some medication that we take for certain illnesses. Some of the drugs that are used for high blood pressure, for example, actually interrupt regular sleep. Some of the over-counter medication, your cold medicines, contain certain types of stimulants which help with reducing your cough and reducing your runny nose, and all that is fine. But on the other end of the line, they actually make you stay up because you do have what we call non-drowsy cold medicine. The ones that have in what we know as pseudoephedrine are the ones that make you stay up. Now, getting into the meat of the matter, there are two types of sleep. Non-rapid eye movement sleep, which is NREM, or REM, non-REM, and rapid eye movement sleep, which is REM. Now, rapid eye movement sleep, it occurs every 90 minutes and lasts between 5 and 30 minutes. It's not a restful sleep, all right, and it's usually the type of sleep or the period in sleep where your dreams take place. And your brain metabolism has been shown to increase by approximately 20%. Your non-rapid eye movement sleep, and I'm going to just talk here because, like I said, my husband was editing my slides and apparently he took that one out. Non-rapid eye movement sleep has 4 stages, and with each stage, the person gets deeper and deeper into sleep. This is the period where the growth hormone is stimulated. This is the period where your body starts breaking down certain foods and certain compounds, for example. This is also the period where you literally get proper rest. So what do we need to do to get a good night's sleep? Most importantly, we need to learn to practice good sleep hygiene. So what do we do? Maintain a regular sleep and wake schedule whenever possible, even on the weekend, even on vacation. So if you're normally an early riser, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, Try to maintain that. I go to sleep at 9 a.m., I wake up at 5 a.m. Or I go to sleep at 10 p.m., I wake up at 5 a.m. And try not to shift it around too much. If you do shift it by no more than an hour. Avoid napping during the day, believe it or not. Naps, power naps are fine, a little 5-minute nap. But I'm going to take a nap after I eat, especially after 3 p.m. And if you do nap, limit your nap to less than an hour. And of course, establish a regular relaxing bedtime routine. Listen to some soft music before you go to sleep. Take a bath. I know we're supposed to conserve water, but once in a while, a nice relaxing bath with some candles in a dark room is actually very good. And if you have fragrances, it's even nicer. So guidelines for better sleep. Exercise regularly. Remember I said being physically active actually helps you sleep better. However, it's important that you do not exercise within 2 hours of your bedtime. Try and avoid eating large meals just before going to sleep. Avoid caffeinated beverages, particularly after lunch. Avoid the use of alcohol and nicotine, as these substances can actually disrupt your sleep. And if you feel that you're suffering from some sort of sleep disorder, such as insomnia, try and see your physician as soon as possible. Most importantly, put your trust in God. That's right. The world was created in 7 days. In 6 days, and that 7th day was given to us for a reason. We work very hard throughout the week. There has to be that one day when we can just rest and give thanks for the week that has gone by. Going to church and taking vacation, or even just taking a weekend off. Going to church should be something that you look forward to, and it should be a time where you go and you relax and you listen to the Word of God.
Amen. Amen.
Like I said, we work 5 to 6 days in the week, and everybody deserves time off, even if it's just a weekend. And that's why we have vacations every year. And I know a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, we tend to not take our vacation, and we work and work and work and work and work. And then you burn out and you wonder why you burn out. So the point is, take time off. You have permission to rest. You are not responsible for fixing everything that is broken. You do not have to try and make everyone happy. For now, take the time for you. And simply why? It's simply time to replenish. Thank you.